Hey, welcome to day one of the Chill Method. And today we are going to talk about contemplation, which is the C in chill. And the whole purpose of this course is to really learn how to relax mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, right down to the deepest cellular level so that it becomes a natural part of the blueprint of your life. And you get to do this, you get to relax without the guilt and without the bullshit and without all of the rules that we've placed on this concept of like, in order to be a worthy woman, we have to be constantly on the go, creating busy, pushing and proving and burning ourselves out in the process and really showing up in bloated, confused, tired, irritable versions of ourselves instead of magnifying at the deepest level, our deepest radiance. And that's where we get to play. So, how do we chill? We start with contemplation. And I'm going to dive right into the training here. This is wildly fun. My goal is we're going to unpack contemplation from the standpoint of that there's no training here. Okay, contemplation is something that we can all tap into and do. I am simply offering this as an opportunity to tap into it, to dial into it, and to make it a part of your daily practice, to integrate it into your daily living. And from the space of being able to contemplate, as I'll get into, this is going to open up your ability to relax in any given moment and really reclaim your own physiology. And the second that we reclaim our physiology, we actually step into more personal power and we relax into our blueprint. And when I say blueprint, I mean our gifts that are coded within our DNA. We get to activate those and we get to relax into those the more that we contemplate. So let's get to the good stuff. Contemplation. I've done my own personal work around contemplation, and I'm going to recite a lot from the body of work of a man named Richard Rudd, who actually just wrote a book called The Art of Contemplation. And I love how he frames it, which is contemplation is a beautiful art. Okay, there's no science here, which is why there's no training on it. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. I'm going to offer some tips that you can integrate into your life today. I'm going to give you a few exercises. And my other goal before the training is over is to offer you a super fun exercise. And I can't wait to unpack that with you. And that's just going to set you on fire for the next week until we do the next training. Hi there. I think that's Jennifer joining. I am already. Hi there. I'm glad you joined. So I'm going to just ask that you mute because I'm going to run through this training. And then obviously at the end, if there are any questions, certainly you can pop in and ask away. And I'm recording this as well. So I actually just started. We're talking about contemplation. And we're going to just drop right in. So perfect timing. Glad you hopped on live so you get to ask questions, and that is super exciting. Okay, so contemplation is a beautiful art. Essentially, it is a dance. It's the physiology here is so powerful. It's this magical dance between the right and the left hemisphere of the brain. Because on the one hand, contemplating something is like concentration, which fires up the left brain, the logic, it's yang. But the difference here in contemplation, it's like concentration without the effort. Concentration in of itself requires a tremendous amount of effort and focus. Contemplation is not like that, right? Which is the whole point of relaxing into, right? And it is like meditation in the sense that we do activate our right brain. It's yin. It's actually very tantric. And the difference here is that contemplation is like meditation. Hang on one second. Janice is hopping on. Okay, sorry, Jen, give me a second. Okay. So it's like meditation, but without the mindlessness of meditation. I like to call it relaxed imagination. And that's so beautiful. So we get to play with our intuition here. We get to really open up the channels that support our intuition and our ability to pull in divine downloads, which is, we can't do that if we aren't relaxed. And if we aren't relaxed and we are constantly busy and stressing, here's the thing that I always say. It's like our minds create the stress, and then we go to our minds to alleviate the stress. We can't go to the source of the problem to ask for the solution. That's crazy, right? So our minds are creating busy, and it doesn't allow us the space to open up to possibility. And then the mind freaks out that we have all this scarcity, all this lack, all this fear around us. And contemplation is the first step in integrating into this experience where we get to pause. Throughout the day, intermittently, we pause, we reflect, and we open up the space to allow intuition to come in. So it's playing with our intuition. Famous old scientist Descartes actually believed that the interplay between two hemispheres, the right and left hemisphere, in contemplation, right? Because we're doing this danced in relaxed imagination where we're concentrating a little without the effort, and we're meditating a little, but mindfully. And when we operate from dual hemispheres, we activate both sides of the brain, the yin and the yang. He really believed that it helps strengthen the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is the gland inside the brain, which sits deep in the center of your brain. And the pineal gland is your third eye, okay? It's made up of retinal tissue, and it's responsible for receiving light rays, and it controls our sleep patterns, number one. But number two, it also releases chemicals in our dream state that allow us to vividly dream. The pineal gland releases chemicals that are like hallucinogens. So it allows us to really like have those big picture visions, to not only get the download, but then to actually bring it into the mind's eye and see it come alive. And since we're too busy, we actually don't utilize this gland, and it becomes calcified. And so you can imagine what that does to our creative energy. Creativity in and of itself is a relaxing state, and it releases chemicals that create so much healing and so much nourishment in every cell. So the very act of stimulating more creativity through contemplation physiologically, easy for me to say, physiologically allows us to step into a deeper state of relaxation. And in that place, again, you are secreting thousands of healing chemicals that go to work right away to repair damaged cellular tissue, to restore your body's ability to metabolize energy. What does that translate to? The foods you eat are getting better utilized for fuel. So you're actually able to pull the nutrients out of the foods you're eating and use more of them in a concentrated way, and release what's not getting used, which leads to better health. Yes, weight loss is absolutely a side effect of that. Yes, better sleep is a side effect of that. So you start to step into this exquisite health cycle, which is what we want. Okay, moving on. Descartes also coined the pineal gland as the seat of the soul. So in your mind's eye, right, therein lies your soul, your creative force, your chi. And our human powers are literally accessed here, right? And to me, that is health. That is health, is being able to activate and utilize our supernatural human powers of intuition, empathy, transmuting those light waves in nature to restore and repair ourselves. We all have the power within us. Okay, so to gain like such hyper functioning means that we get to attract just the right people into our lives, the experiences that will help us grow, the right fuel that we need to put in our bodies to feed our genius and to radiate even more of that light out into the universe and then cycle it back. Okay, again, that is exquisite health. I don't know. Every time I think about that, I get the chills. I know that must be firing you up as well. Being in this state, it's not a doing state. There's like no step by step here. I'm not going to give you like, oh, step 1 to contemplate, step 2. It's playful, okay? It's simple and it's playful. And one thing I know from particularly working with women, but a lot of men that I've worked with over the years, it's like, there's got to be a plan and a step-by-step and a playbook. And the thing is, life, and I came from that, and I get it. Life is really about easing into playful curiosity. It's about relaxing into wonderment. It's about surrendering to, I don't have to know what it's going to be. I don't have to know how, and I don't have to know what it looks like. My job is that I get to show up and shine my brightest light. That's why we're here, right? Your job, your joy is to show up and see how you can learn, even when something doesn't feel good. Where is the learning? Where is the education? And this is what contemplation allows us to do. Again, it lies between the doing and the being. And so I see it personally as flowing. It stimulates more of this chi, which is your life force. It's that energy of intention. You set your heart's intentions and you can be focused, but at the same time in a playful state. Igniting your pineal gland also involves cellular digestion. Okay, so you take every thought and concentrate playfully every cell of your being on it, but without the effort, only from a relaxed, peaceful state. So this is where I get to a place, if you're not muted, if you could just mute, that would be fabulous. If you can get to a state where you master this biologically, that literally means that your intuition is calling in the types of foods you need to eat, and you're aligning your cells for exquisite health before you even move your body, before you even hit the pillow at night, so all of these intentions, right, to have this exquisite health happen in your cells first because you align for them. And then your intuition calls in the fuel to support it, calls in the movement to support it, calls in the right sleeping environment to support it. So you're always showing up in best support of your health. It's never a fight. It's never restricting calories or forcing things or having to eat this or having to go to bed this time. That's not life. That's not life. Okay. Woo! I hope you guys are having fun so far, because I sure am. What it comes down to is, in this relaxed, peaceful state, right, all things are simply a vibration. Energy emitting at different frequencies. So every organ in your body is emitting a frequency, and all matter of the universe is also emitting a frequency. They're all emitting something, right? And we understand this. We understand the energy. We don't have to be scientists to know that, right? And your DNA creates your life experience according to the vibes, the energy, the frequencies that it receives from the environment, from your own organs. So your DNA is simply a messenger, but it collects information first and then sends messages to the brain to then create those decisions. So what I just said now makes sense, right? We're aligning ourselves first. And then the DNA within each cell is sending a message to the brain to create that existence, to create that reality. Okay? Here's a simple thing to know, right? Fear emits a very low frequency into the energetic field. Love emits a very high frequency into the energetic field. So no matter how positive you try to be throughout your days, and I hear that from clients a lot, like, oh, I'm trying to be happy. I'm trying to have a positive attitude. If you don't step into full awareness of why that fear is there, what shadows you're trying to hide, where there might be shame or guilt that come from that fear, those frequency patterns actually create distortions that you have to be an energetic match for what you call in. So from that place, you're expressing an energetic match that you're not worthy, or that you're not, worthy of the deepest contentment. And so you keep attracting back from the universe those lower vibe things so that you can learn and ascend. And that's the whole point, right? You can't open up to receive those higher frequencies until we uncover the shadows that keep us in fear. And guess what contemplation does? It allows us to reveal those shadows, to bring those things that we may suppress or keep hidden because we're ashamed, or because we're guilty, or because we're afraid to open them up because it might be painful. But in contemplation, in the state of curiosity and play and wonderment, in a relaxed state, we get to look at those things in an observer seat with no judgment. So then we can make choices about how we can shift those things into our greatest gifts. And we'll dive much deeper into this throughout the training. Remember, this is just day one. So the key to contemplation is that you need something to contemplate. So I am offering up this suggestion to start to contemplate on things that trigger you. Because triggers, places during the day where you feel resistance or pain, right? Like maybe it's a food, maybe it's a person, maybe it's something somebody said, maybe it's the news, but you feel icky. And that's an opportunity to lean in and go, why do I feel icky? And that gives you something to contemplate on. So how does this work, right? When you sit in contemplation, and you don't even have to sit, you can do this at any time, and I'll kind of break it down. It works on all three operating systems: your mind, your body, and soul. When your mind, your body, and soul are operating in synchronicity, that's exquisite health. They are all in alignment. It's when our body is in pain and our mind is telling us this, and our soul is like, but we want to be over here. And all three are just they're just not syncing up. That's what creates disease. So we want to get them into an alignment. And so with contemplation, we get to start to look at, well, wow, this showed up for me. Why did this person trigger me? Why did I think this thing that makes me feel bad? Where did that come from? And you just sit with it. It's broad, right? Contemplation is vast. It's very generous to you. It's a sacred space that you get to create for yourself in any way that feels good to you, to find inner clarity in your life. And clarity is exquisite health, because clarity in that space where you have a clear mind, you can't have clarity in busy, right? You just can't. You're running around, you're chasing your day. There is no clarity. And guys, when you don't have clarity, think about this, and you're running around and you're just making decisions, you make more mistakes. And mistakes are great, like we learn from them, but they can sometimes cost us time, effort, energy, and money, right? And especially if we keep repeating them. and we're running around in busy and we're not ever giving ourselves the gift of relaxation. Again, there's a whole physical aspect of it, but we think we're being busy and we're running around and we're hustling and ticking boxes and getting shit done. We're actually not clear of mind. And so when we don't have clarity, we make decisions that aren't clear, which means we lose efficiency, which means we actually lose time. So being busy actually sucks time, right? I mean, you can think about this in your life. It's like you're rushing around and you like trip over the laundry and sprain your ankle, or, and then it's like, oh my God. Or, you wind up yelling at your kid because like you're over here trying to concentrate on this, and you yell at your kid and then she has a meltdown, and then you have to deal with the meltdown. You forgot your keys and then you can't find them, but you're trying to get to an appointment, and it's like, that's busy, right? That's busy. But slowing down and taking the pause, coming into relaxed imagination and setting a heart's intention for how you want your day to look. It's like, I know where my keys are. I'm tuning into what my daughter is saying to me right now, and I see the laundry in front of me, right? So now you get to operate from this place of better efficiency and you have actually created time. How cool is that? And if time is our currency and we're always trying to grasp for more, that's super empowering, right? And we'll get more into that during the training too, on the mental construct of time in and of itself. So when you step into this place of allowing yourself to gain clarity, you also get to harvest wisdom. I think that's so beautiful. I actually quoted that from Richard Rudd in his book. You harvest wisdom, right, from your body and from the universe. Because in contemplation, you're in awareness, right? You're not in mindlessness meditation. You're not in concentrated focus. You tune in to each of your cells, right? So you can hear your cells carry wisdom. You can hear them, which means you can help them, which means you can heal them. You tune into the seasons. You tune into dawn and dusk, and we're going to play with that a little bit. You tune into food and energy, right? And from this place, you get to create the life that you choose for yourself in total trust, right? Because your intuition is calling the shots. Oh, so empowering. I hope you're staying with me on this. Here's an exercise. Again, no training here in contemplation. I'm just giving you some context to step into it with enthusiasm and excitement, right? This should be so much fun. Like, I want you to hop off this training and like, how can I integrate this? Well, here's an exercise just to, again, offer you up an example of how you might want to play with this over the next few days, and get back to me in the thread. Let me know how this goes, how you're feeling through this. So here's the exercise, and you can do it tonight. Don't miss dusk. Don't miss dusk. Typically, dusk is at a time where we are our freaking busiest, right? It's like we are shifting out of our workday and into dinner time and into, maybe putting on a different hat, right? So we might be wearing the work hat, and now we've got to put on mom hat, or we've got to put on wife hat, or we've got to put on, mate hat, or we've got to put on other business hat, or whatever. It's like this transition, right? And it's like, I'm carpooling. I need to get dinner on the table. I'm leaving work. I have a last minute deadline. I'm checking my emails because I didn't check them before. And we miss the magic and the beauty of something that naturally comes every day that we can actually lean into and trust in the deepest, deepest sense of like, we know the sun is going to set and it's going to be beautiful. We can count on it. And we can also physiologically align ourselves to that because, again, the pineal gland is now judging the loss of those light waves and starting to set the body up for sleep. And so cortisol production should be at its lowest, and we start to secrete melatonin at a much higher rate, and we start to bring the body into an actual physical relaxation state. But we fight it every freaking day, decade after decade. So it's kind of almost like, oh yeah, of course I don't sleep, like get good quality sleep. It's not about the length of time, it's the quality of sleep cycles you get. Oh, of course I'm craving sugar right now because my brain is like gobbling up that fuel like nonstop because I'm thinking about all this shit. Of course I feel like bloated and fatigued because I'm trying to take in the sensory of fake artificial light because I have all the shit that I have to do. And I'm not allowing the natural dusk experience to downregulate my bodily functions, put me in a natural state of health. So don't miss dusk. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to linger. Ooh, I love that word. In the magic. And just allow that wisdom to come alive in you. Okay, so you're going to tonight just find a pause. That's all I would invite you to do. And you can build from there. And a pause can look as simple as, no joke, guys, simple as a sigh, right? Sighing is a pause. It's like, do that right now to yourself. You like note the physiological effects of sighing. It feels really damn good. Because it's more than just a breath. It's like this depth, right? It's hard to put into words with our English language system. So even if it's just that sigh in the car, right? Relax. Okay? If you can, challenge yourself to relax, to drift. And when I say drift, I mean simply just be in the moment, wherever you are. One thing that I like to do often is I choose one activity to drift into. Okay, multitasking is like the killer, I believe, truly. And again, I can get into that in another training. So if you decide you just want to sit, then just drift into sitting. If you decide that you want to have a glass of wine, then just sip the wine and enjoy the wine. Not I'm drinking wine while watching TV and checking my iPhone and and then I'm drinking wine to escape the kids fighting no, just, or chat with your bestie, but not I'm chatting with my bestie while I'm on the computer trying to get an email out to somebody else and I'm like listening to my kid crying in the background. Like just hear the beautiful voice of the person you're chatting with and stimulate your senses into that conversation, even if it's just for 1 minute that you're fully plugged in. Just one thing, and enjoy the depth of that one thing, because that is where you get to harvest the wisdom. That is contemplation. So again, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in a quiet space doing some sort of like, meditation. It could simply just mean sighing and stepping into the moment with one activity and being with that activity. Dusk to me signifies a time where, again, we can kind of buck against busy and allow the trust to come in of the beautiful magic of the changing of the day into the night. It's a gem. When you find that time to pause, you naturally have a better rhythm with things in general, a flow. And here's again where time starts to expand. Okay, slowing down inwardly means responding to things more clearly, as I mentioned. When you respond more clearly, you gain efficiency. You stop eating unconsciously. You make less mistakes, even when it comes to your money, right? Contemplating creates this space for possibilities. Okay, so you start with a pause. And the thing is, in that pause, you don't like, that's why there's no training here, because I don't know what's going to happen there. You don't know what's going to happen there. But if you deny yourself the pause, then you can know for sure that you aren't opening yourself up to the possibilities of anything. So even in the context of, let's say somebody triggers you. Let's say you're in a conversation and somebody says something and it really pisses you off, and your reactive mode, your non-pause mode, is to go right in, go right for the jugular, get angry and fire back. But what if you just went, and in that sigh, and again, I can't predict, I don't know that's going to happen, but in that sigh, you're like, wait a minute, the last time I was triggered in this way, I got reactive and it actually ended up worse. What did I learn last time? Oh yeah, I'm going to consciously respond in this way. Or let's say you do react with that same anger, but you went right after. You got to see, wow, that wasn't helpful. That didn't feel good. Where's the learning? Remember, we're here for education, right? So what could I do? And so it just opens up these possibilities, right? You may have a huge revelation, a huge pivot that changes your whole life. And that's the thing. Contemplation opens up the possibility that you may have like a spontaneous seeing of something deeply emotional that you had not seen before. A revelation that you like no longer have to fall victim to a past pattern, right? Because we're only victims of what we create, right? Which means that we're never really victims at all, because we create everything, or it passes through us, I should say. So you even could recognize, and I love this, I play with this a lot because I'm very opinionated, and I recognize like sometimes I have an opinion that I'm like hanging on to. I grip it for dear life. And in contemplation, I get to observe how much difficulty an opinion might be actually causing me. And I may not get rid of the opinion. I may keep it, but I can loosen my grip on it. And it's really refreshing on a cellular level. And it allows me to relax more. Like, why do I have to be 10 minutes early for everything? Like, why do I feel like punctuality is the key to life? And it's such a strong opinion of mine. And I've been able to loosen my grip on that. And it's allowed me to relax. And I've found more time, more ease, more grace, and certainly more acceptance of other people. So I'm gonna start to wrap this up because I want to get to another exercise before I wrap the training. But here's some additional food for thought to set the next 6 weeks afloat for us. When we open up the channels and integrate contemplation into our daily lives, we again allow in the possibility of not just hearing our intuition more, but allowing that intuition to turn into an insight. Okay, insight opens up your mind. Remember, we got 3 operating systems here that we want to integrate. So we get an intuition, and from that we get an insight. An insight opens up the mind. Here's what's revolutionary. So now we have an insight. And an insight usually is very exciting because it causes us to have a breakthrough, right? And a breakthrough opens up your heart. When we have a breakthrough, it's like something shifted, right? And we literally love in a new way. We open up, we amplify our heart in a different way. And then from that place, we have a breakthrough, and we have enough of them, a series of them merging together and integrating. We call it an epiphany. An epiphany opens up your soul. So you see how those 3 operating systems start to align? Insight, breakthrough, and epiphany. So it's that merging that creates that exquisite health. How do we have that? How do we open up the possibility to that? Contemplation, right? Epiphany. Oh, that's euphoric. That's like a cellular phenomenon. Okay? It's DNA illumination. Remember, DNA, you take in information and it sends messages up to the brain. So as you step into being in the moment and you open up for possibilities and you, in this place, literally surrender to solutions revealing themselves, because your DNA is now receiving at a totally different frequency from inside and from the environment. And it's sending these messages up to the brain, and you're starting to secrete all these feel-good chemicals that open you up to just relaxing into a solution and not trying to find a solution, right? So I like to think of contemplation, and again, this is like, in reading Richard Rudd's text, he's so funny because he's like, contemplation is like a bit naughty, right? Like mindfulness can feel kind of like almost like staunchy, like dull, like, oh, I'm being mindful. And it's like, so it's like almost cliche at this point, like how much we hear that, right? It's all over the place. But contemplation is like this playful state, right? Where it's like I said, it's like broad, and it's generous, and it's sacred, and it's delicious, and it's like creating this different kind of life in the pauses, these tiny little pauses where we just sigh, and in that sigh you can actually create an entirely different experience. And I find that so incredibly empowering. And this is where the change occurs, right? Like working down deep. And as I mentioned, that cellular harmony between those operating systems to actually find rest within your mind. This is the place where permanent change occurs, because we're working down through the mental, okay, with the insight, through the emotional, right, where we have these breakthroughs, and deep down into the physical, okay, into the DNA, into the soul space. The epiphany happens, and it creates this cellular phenomenon that we feel. We all know what that feels like, that body sensation of like, oh, like epiphany, right? So we start the 6 weeks. We're talking about it, right? We're talking about contemplation, and then we go into that state and we're kind of thinking about it and putting it into our day, and then we start to feel into it, and then it goes into ourselves. And then from there, it goes into your dreams, where you're opening up your pineal gland, and it starts to reveal a new path for you that ultimately will create a new reality, one where you live in exquisite health. It is your normal state of being. And from that, you're radiating at an energetic level that will attract back in total prosperity. When I say prosperity, that can be defined as anything you want it to be. And we'll talk a bit about what you're manifesting as we go through the training. Boo fucking yeah. Sign me up for that. Okay, cool. I'm going to do an exercise. And I kind of want to like preface the next 6 weeks with this. Just, it's such a fun exercise, and I do it. I revisit it all the time, and I use it with my clients, and I do it around money and around food mostly. I'm going to give you the exercise today, so you're on with me. You can do it, like you can kind of follow it a little, but you probably going to want to plug back into this training later and actually set this up and do this exercise. So we're about 40 minutes in. So if you save this, I'm recording it. If you save the recording, you go 40 minutes in, you can practice this anytime you want. It's called the chair rewiring exercise. And it's really fun. And I'm going to work through this exercise with the example of money, because it's like a fun place to start. And we all kind of love developing a better relationship with money. But you can plug in food, you can plug in anything. And I think food and money are always the ones, right? That like is, at least with my clients, that we always come back to. So what is the chair rewiring exercise? And by the way, I'm doing this on day 1, not because it's contemplation, but it is, in a sense, it's super freaking playful. It's really supposed to be a super fun, playful game that will give you so much insight. And from here, again, we want to open up the possibility of a breakthrough, tap into that heart space. And if you're practicing this, the possibility of epiphany can happen. So that's why I'm including it in day one in contemplation. So what is chair rewiring? Sounds kind of interesting. I hope I sparked your curiosity, because that's what this is about. So you're going to first set up 3 chairs, okay, like facing each other. So you've got 2 chairs facing each other, and then kind of a third chair like on the outside looking at both the chairs facing each other. So I hope you have a good visual. And then you're going to set the intention that this is a brain rewiring exercise, and that you're going to see any subconscious blocks that you're having around money right now. So step 1, you're going to sit in the chair as you, okay? You are yourself, and you're going to look across at chair number 2. And guys, like my high level peeps, like this is the difference. Like you guys are here because you are high level and you are actually going to do this. Other folks are like, yeah, they might hear it. They're like, maybe I'll do it in my mind, but I'm not really going to do it. Like, you want to step into the most exquisite health, like you're setting this shit up and you're going to do it. And I know that. So it's not just a mind game. It's physically sit in the chair as yourself. And I've done it. I don't even know how many times I've done it. Every time I do it, it's like, wow, another breakthrough. And I've definitely had epiphanies from here as well. And so have my clients. Oh my gosh. Just thinking about one that I did recently, and it was such an epiphany. Anyway, look across at money in chair number 2. And I've had clients like put a picture, they put dollars. I mean, you know, you can get as creative as you want. Again, it's all implied. But you could just keep the empty chair. So you are going to have a conversation with money. And you're going to ask the following questions to money. Like, first, what comes up for you? Right? You're sitting across from money. You're staring at money in the face. What comes up? Next question. What do I notice about money? I'm staring at money. What do I notice about money? What do I feel? What do I believe? What do I think? Anything that comes up. Okay, there's no overthinking or judging with this. You're just simply noticing what comes to the surface in a playful, curious state, totally uncensored streaming here, and just jot down. Okay? You're going to take a break. You're going to stand up, shake it out. Step 2, sit down in chair number 2, okay, into the seat of money. So now you're going to embody money. You're going to be in the energy of money. You are money, okay? Feel what money feels like to be in a relationship with you. So now you are money, staring back at yourself in chair number 1. Ask these questions. What does money feel like looking over you? What does money notice when it looks across at you? Like, really lean in here and see what comes up. Then you're going to take another break. You're going to shake it out. And then you're going to sit down in the observer chair. So now you've got chair 1 and chair 2, money and you. And you've come out of both of those, and now you're going to sit in chair number 3 as the observer, and you're going to look at yourself in chair 1, and you're going to look at money in chair 2, and you're just going to simply observe what is going on between these two. What do I need to realize here? What do I need to embody? What is money trying to tell me? See where the contemplation is in this? Stand up, shake it off. Right? Sometimes the contemplation in this is like 30 seconds and you're like, whoa, I can't believe all this stuff money is trying to tell me, or oh my gosh, I can't believe what I was thinking and believing about money. And sometimes you'll need more time for the realizations to come through. It's all in a state of play. There is no right, there is no wrong. Step 4, you're going to anchor in the new beliefs, right? So when you notice something that you feel is of benefit for you to shift and change, Okay. Like I've done this, and like money has said to me, so I'm sitting on me and money's having a conversation with me. I'm sorry, I'm money having a conversation with me. What comes up? Oh my, why should I go to you? You always give me away. And I know that's come up for other people too, right? It's like, holy shit, wow, that comes from fear and lack and scarcity, and that sure as heck doesn't serve me. So now that I see it, I can choose to shift it, right? So like, well, what do I choose to believe that would be in alignment with how I want to live in prosperity? What do I need to tell money, right? Like, I can take care of this. I can take care of us, right? I believe in my own self-worth. So you can anchor this in with a physical imprint, right? That here's where we want to literally get it into your physiology. So what do you want to do is the following. You now have chosen this new belief. And in that belief, you're like, hey, this is what feels good to me. Breathe into it. Sometimes I just like sway. That's why I'm saying shake it out. Well, this is a time you shake it out. You can dance. You can put on a song. You can move. Even just the slightest thing like tugging on your ear and just creating gently like the physical imprint. So now every time you start to feel that, you're like, yep, I'm anchoring this in. Yep, I believe in my self-worth. Yep, I can take care of money. I'm a savvy money manager. And you anchor that in. You create the body sensation that triggers the remembering of the new belief that you want to embody. And then you do it for every new belief. Practice, integration, mind, body, and soul coming together. Step number 5, notice what feels different as you do this, right? So you keep practicing it. And you choose those new beliefs and you anchor them in physically. And then you get to journal and contemplate and ask these questions like, what are my new realizations? What are my new beliefs now? What choices do I get to make now? Put it into daily practice and integrate that. Super fun exercise. Again, you can go back, do this with food, do this with anything that you're like, I feel I have a block with regard to this area of my life. So let me get into it and feel the energy around it. And if I was to have a conversation with this, what would come up? If I was to observe the interplay between this relationship, what would come up? What feels out of alignment when I pulled that shit to the surface? Oh, okay. Well, how can I shift that? Oh, well, maybe I can choose to believe this. Does that feel true to me? Yeah, it feels pretty awesome. Okay, great. Now I'm going to anchor that in physically with some movement so that I'm secreting feel-good hormones that really anchor this for me. So that way, when my body and my brain go to call upon this again, I have set those neural pathways on fire. My DNA is now activating a different way, creating new stimulus, new messages going to the brain and amplifying your energy. Boom, right? You see where this is going? Super powerful stuff. All right, I'm going to wind down this training. We got a couple of you guys on live. Do either of you have questions? How you feel? This is like totally rocking, right? If you guys want to unmute, now's the chance to ask away. We got about a little less than 10 minutes left, so don't be shy. You can unmute yourself without having to go on your video. No questions? Really? Wow. I've never had that happen before. Usually always have questions. Are you sure? Last call, guys. Last call. All right. So this is where we get to start. Have the best friggin' time with it. Light yourself ablaze. See what comes up. So 2 things that I'm inviting you to do. Don't miss dusk. Start to pull in these sighs. At least start with the pause. And do the chair rewiring exercise. Share in the thread. The thread is going to be where the activity is going. So that way we're all kind of connected to each other. It's a very small, intimate group. So that's what I wanted. All right, guys, I'm going to shut this down. Now, again, last call for questions or any comments. Would you like, at least unmute, let me know I'm not talking to myself. Was this helpful? Do you feel psyched? Do you feel like on fire? Tell me.
Yeah, I think it was really helpful. I think with the pre-work, I had the hardest time with number 3, thinking about, to do this, I have to choose to believe differently. And I kind of got stuck thinking of the same thing over and over. If you have anything that you could maybe expand on there or something from your experience.
What did you get stuck on? What belief did you specifically get stuck on?
I felt like I just kept coming back to the same phrase of I am worthy. And then I couldn't quite figure out like where else I wanted to take it. And I know there's probably more there, but that's where I just felt like I kept coming back to each thought of how I needed to think differently.
So when you say I am worthy, what body sensations come up for you right now? You say, I am worthy. What do you feel in your body right
now? Heat and anxiety.
So what's happening is you're saying it. See, this is where we get stuck with affirmations versus actually changing our belief system. An affirmation is on the surface level, and we can say the thing all we want all day long, but if we don't believe it and actively create it in our bodies, it's still showing up as a lie, right? So heat, anxiety, right? You're feeling icky feelings because your body still sees it as a lie. You're like, I'm worthy, and your body is like, no, I'm not. So what we want to do is we want to break down that belief into something smaller that you can believe. That's the beauty of micro-aligning. That's the beauty of small steps, because you can always take something that seems really big and really foreign, because this is a new thought. This is a whole new construct for you, because you may have spent the last however many decades thinking you were unworthy, and now you're just going to stand up and claim you're worthy. And that change could happen in an instant. It's your choice. But if it feels icky and hot and creates anxiety, then all you get to simply do is go, oh, thank you. Okay, I appreciate that I feel anxious. What could I believe right now that is true? So for example, you may go, could I believe right now that I am becoming more worthy every day? Can I believe that right now? That I am, so for example, Jennifer, it's like I invested in this course for myself. I spent money and now I'm spending time. I am showing myself that I'm worthy of this, that I believe in myself enough to invest. Can you believe that right now?
Yes.
Absolutely, because you have evidence to support it. How does that feel in your body when you say that?
Very believable.
There you go. That's where you start.
Thank you. Yes.
Awesome. So then you just get to, right? It's just you always go back to the body, and the body is going to just always be what is. So if it's feeling icky or hot, I love that description. You said heat. Okay. What could I believe right now? And you just simply adjust, and you simply adjust until you get to that space where, wow, this really feels good. This is the feeling I want to have when I think of myself as being more and more worthy every day, and I feel strong or calm. Like, that's what I want to feel. And how can I create that? And then you anchor that in, right? You anchor that in with something physical, just like we said. Awesome. Great question. Cool. Anything else specific to the training today? You guys fired up? You excited? I am. All right. Well, thank you. And you know what? Thank yourselves. Hop off this call. It was 1:00 in the afternoon on Tuesday, and you honored yourself and you showed up. So make sure that as soon as you get off, you are like, boom. You do the happy dance, you celebrate, you take a look in the mirror and you say, I got this shit, whatever it is, right? but make sure you take a moment, a pause, and just really honor and celebrate the badassery of being here and doing this for yourself. And I'm going to do the same thing. All right, much love. And I will have a recording up. I will have some additional opportunity sheets to go along with this to support this. The chair rewiring exercise I'll have written out, and I'll have kind of a transcript of what I talked about today with regard to contemplation, and use the thread, because I think the thread is going to be a much more communicative experience than having a Facebook group. It tends to get to crickets, and that wasn't feeling good to me. I don't want this to be crickets. I want this to be interactive for you guys, because I know the more you show up, the more it's going to benefit you. Okay, that's it. Peace out. Much love. Bye.